In this episode, I go over my top 5 picks for New Comic Book Day coming out next week, April 27th, 2022. What is up, everybody? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. As you can see, 1, I have the lights off, kind of, sort of. 2, rocking the glasses today because I'm still kind of dealing with my eye infection. It's a little bit better, but still a little bit swollen. I've been dealing with for the past couple days now. It's been a real pain, but after seeing that last video I put out yesterday, a lot of it was just text, and I was going through a lot of the questions and answers and different comments, which I like to do, but I also like to be on screen. So, I wanted to throw a little bit of me on the screen just because it's better than just looking at, plain text or whatever the entire time. So I'm going to try to, put some of the images up, maybe keep them up a little bit more than I normally do. But I did want to show face here a little bit and see all y'all. And I appreciate everybody who's here in the premiere chat right now. If you're watching this now or if you're catching a replay, either way, I appreciate it. Make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Like I said, I'm here to talk about my top 5 books for New Comic Book Day coming out next week, April 27th, 2022. Can't believe we're rearing the end of April already, which is insane. But I guess it's a good thing, right? We're staying busy, we're moving and grooving, and the weather's getting warmer, hopefully, all around wherever you are right now. It's certainly getting a little bit warmer here in Jersey, so I will take it. But yeah, so I have a couple of honorable mentions that I'm going to go through. Then, of course, I'm going to go over my top 5 picks for next week. And then after that, I will wrap it up with my cover buy of the week. So make sure you stick around for that as well. Before I get into all that, though, I do have my question of the week. So let me put it up on screen right here. And my question of the week is, where do you buy your new comic books from? And that means anything from, like, basically asking the source. Where do you go? Do you go to your local comic shop, your LCS? Do you go online? Do you do your final order cutoff, your FOCs? Do you pre-order stuff? Do you have a mixture of maybe doing, buying online and buying from local comic shops? Maybe you don't buy new comics. Maybe you just hold off until you can get them on trade, or you read them digitally when they're out on Marvel Unlimited, or whatever the case may be. I would love to know. Leave a comment in the comment section below, and in the next video for next week on Wednesday, I will read some of those comments like I've been doing, and we'll kind of go over some of them along the way. So it's been a lot of fun doing this, asking these various questions, getting a feel for where the community stands on a lot of this stuff. So everybody who's participated, I really do appreciate that. So like I said, leave a comment in the comment section below. Where do you buy your new comic books from? And with all that being said, let's get into the honorable mentions first and foremost. And we're going to start it off with Justice League issue number 75. And I don't really bring up Justice League too often, although I have really been on a DC kick. And so, I mean, this really caught my attention here. I don't know if this is even an appropriate time to jump into it or what, but I do see that it's an oversized special issue. Superstar writer Joshua Williamson pens the beginning of the next big DCU event. It all starts here. The thing that confuses me is that it also says final issue at the end of this listing, so I'm not sure if this is like what's ending something and kicking off something new. Are they starting a whole new series, or is there going to be like a 76 after this? Or I don't know what the deal is, but it really got my attention. I might dabble in it. Maybe I'll talk to some of my other DC reader friends and see kind of where this lines up, if this is something appropriate to jump into right away or not. But either way, I just wanted to bring this up because it looked really interesting. The fact that it says on the front cover, "Death of the Justice League." I mean, and I should note, I've been on a major kick with the Justice League, or with DC in general right now, because I've been watching the new series of Superman and Lois, and man, it's great. It's really, really good. I'm only on the first season, probably about 5 or 6 episodes in. My girlfriend and we love it. And so with that, I'm now just kind of really even more so interested in learning, reading more, Superman. I've already been on the Batman kick now for a little while, so still enjoying that. And little foreshadowing ahead of time, almost my whole list is DC coming up. So, Sove Collector, if you're here in the chat right now, I apologize, but it is what it is, right? So I just wanted to mention that. The other one I wanted to bring up was Knights of X issue number 1. Yes, we're talking some Marvel here. I'm very excited for this as well, as it's continuing on with kind of where the X titles have left off. Launching, the main focus here being for what's it called? The Otherworld and Captain Britain. So the writer here, Teenie Howard, Bob Quinn doing the artwork, and yeah, I'm just curious to kind of see where it goes. I've been really enjoying all the X titles that have been coming out, so I didn't want to exclude that. So I did want to just mention that for anyone who is looking forward to that. There's a bunch of really beautiful covers for it as well. But yeah, I will definitely be dabbling in that also. All right, so again, that was just the honorable mentions. I want to now get into my top 5 picks for New Comic Book Day coming out next week, April 27th. And I'm going to kick it off with a Marvel book, and I think it's the only Marvel book on the list this week, but I'm going to kick it off with The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 1. And, you know, I don't read as much Spider-Man as I probably should be. And so this is me making an effort to get a little bit more involved in reading this. And really it's a, you know, it seems to be a great jumping on point. It is celebrating their 60th anniversary, and it's also a new volume to kick off in the middle of the year. Sorry, I think it's their 10th. Where did I read? There's their 10th, a new volume. Maybe it's not their 10th, but oh, never mind. It was Captain America I'm thinking of. But this is a new volume, generally speaking, for Amazing Spider-Man, and it is written by Zeb Wells, who I like Zeb Wells as a writer. I've followed some of other writings that Zeb has done. I know he's was on the some of the X-Men stuff like Hellions, which was fantastic from what I've read, and I know I've heard really great things from the rest of it. I haven't finished it yet, but yeah, so definitely wanted to put this on the list. I think it's deserving. And of course, the penciling and the cover art here, John Romita Jr. is involved. I don't know how long that's going to be for, but either way, it's a great way to kick it off for sure. So yeah, that's going to be my number 5 pick of the week, The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 1 by Zeb Wells. Moving on to my number 4 pick of the week is switching over to DC. Got to go with Rogues issue number 2. And man, I really enjoyed issue 1. I had no idea anything about it going into this, but you know, the main thing that I always talk about is, you know, DC Black Label. They never let me down. I always want to at least give it a shot. You know, especially these like magazine size ones that are only like 3 or 4 issues long. And mainly because they don't require any knowledge, like prior reading beforehand, you know. You can kind of just jump in. It's very new reader friendly. And so even if there are characters I don't know, the way I'm kind of looking at it is that it's basically like, you know, reading an indie title, basically. So that's how I've been kind of going into it. The Rogues are Rogues is basically about some of the villains that have been known from, you know, The Flash. And even that I'm not as familiar with, you know, reading into some of these villains or these characters that they've introduced. But basically it's kind of like them coming out of retirement. You know, they're all older now is kind of where this takes place. And it's a really interesting concept. It's got great humor to it. You know, certainly very dark too at the same time. And I should have noted earlier, it is written by Joshua Williamson. So yeah, he's been on a roll here lately with the DC stuff. The artist here, Massimiliano Leo Max, that is a name, and yeah, really great stuff. Love the interiors of the first issue, and so yeah, gonna continue to read on here. It's also the cover art that he did as well. And then also I should note that Matt Lopez is the colorist, and I like to point him out because he's been a really genuine guy. Anytime I've reached out to him over on Instagram. He also was the colorist for the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow series with Tom King, and that really got my attention as well. So just love his work in general, and so I always want to kind of support him there as well. So overall, enjoying this. I think there's 2 more issues to go, this one and another. So definitely want to keep going with this. And if you haven't been reading the DC Black Label stuff, I do recommend giving it a shot, giving any of it a shot, even if you don't know the characters, even if you're not familiar with, you know, any prior history or anything, because you really don't need any of that knowledge going into this, other than maybe some of the general basics. But either way, as a newer reader to some of this DC stuff, I've really found myself enjoying it, and hey, who knows, maybe you will as well. So that's my number 4 pick on the week, Rogues issue number 2. Going into my number 3, another DC book, and I'm really excited to see that it's back here. It's the Swamp Thing issue number 12 of 16 technically, and it's being written by Ram V and the artwork by Mike Perkins, who has been absolutely killing it in this series. I love the interiors. It kind of brings me back to the Alan Moore stuff that I've read over the last year or so. Just the panel layouts and the dark vibes that it gets. I mean, even this cover here that we look at, this is also Mike Perkins. Absolutely beautiful stuff here, and I'm really enjoying where this is going. Last issue kind of relaunched. They kind of went on a little hiatus for a few months, but Ram V is back with issue 11 from last month. So I actually just got a chance to reread that. So diving into this one, this is kind of what they're calling like a part 2, Jericho's Rose part 2. It's where Miss Holland and Jennifer Reese are kind of teaming up here to find and recover Levi. And in issue was it like 9 and 10, as that whole thing kind of came to an end there. It didn't quite end perfectly for Levi, and so they're going back into the green now. Jennifer is on her search to rescue or recover Levi. Meanwhile, there's some other tricks going on. Dr. Woodrew's involved, and some other newer characters that I'm not as familiar with. But yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely loving it. Ram V, generally speaking, what a great writer. He's really I feel like he's come out of nowhere over these past few years, and certainly has gotten my attention, and has made me fall in love with a character like Swamp Thing. I mean, already kicked it off with Alan Moore stuff, and then this was like a perfect way for me to keep my my interest going and reading even more into Swamp Thing, even though, to clarify, technically, this Swamp Thing in this new series is technically a different character than the original stuff that we've read, or that you might have read with Alan Moore, Saga of the Swamp Thing stuff. So, two different characters. We're talking about Levi here, but either way, definitely wanted to include this. And it's anytime I've done these top fives, and Swamp Thing's been coming out with something new, it's generally been on my list, and that's how much I've enjoyed it. So. That is why it's my number 3 pick of the week, Swamp Thing, issue number 12 of 16 by Ram V. All right, going into my number 2 pick of the week, I'm going with Robin, issue number 13. This is written by Joshua Williamson, second one on the list from Williamson. Roger Cruz doing the penciling here and the cover art that we're looking at. And man, I have to say, Robin could easily be my number 1 pick. It has been so great. It really has. And so technically, and I should clarify, technically this is considered part 4 of Shadow War, which has been an ongoing event. Now that we've kind of finished up the League of Lazarus tournament, we are now moving on with a different event altogether. But and I have to say, I haven't even caught. So technically, this is part 4 that's coming out. I should have had it in the honorable mentions that part 3 technically also comes out this week, and it's under the Deathstroke title. So Deathstroke Inc. issue number 8 is technically what you should read before you read this, and that's going to be on my list as well. But I wanted to make Robin being the main title here. I've just been enjoying so much ever since it's kind of kicked off here, and love the direction that it's going in. Damian Wayne he's become one of my favorites. He really has. I love how his backstory that we've been learning about him. I love his humor. I love his confidence. He can be considered very relatable in certain ways, and I really like where this is going, and it's easily my number 2 pick. Like I said, it could even be my number 1, but I'm looking forward to more of this larger event that's going on. It also has tie-ins with the current Batman series as well, which is also what Joshua Williamson is writing. So I know that series is going to change up soon, but Williamson, curious to see kind of how he closes out with the Shadow War, and then where he goes from there with Robin specifically, because I don't know if as of right now, this is issue 13. I'm assuming this is an ongoing. Hopefully we continue to see that happen. So, but either way, if you're not reading Robin, I would highly recommend checking it out sometime. Go back, read the trade to the first 6 issues. I thought it was fantastic. Going into that, the Lazarus tournament and so on and so forth. Really like all that build up coming to where we are now. So, that is why it's my number 2 pick of the week, Shadow War, Robin, issue number 13, part 4 of Shadow War. And again, shout out to Roger Cruz. The artwork in this it's beautiful. Really stunning stuff. All right, so before we get into the last pick, just want to say thanks everybody for tuning in. If you're in the premiere chat right now, appreciate you hanging out with me here today. If you are new, make sure you subscribe to the channel, smash that like button as well, and stick around because after I talk about my number one pick, of course, I am going to reveal my cover buy of the week, so I'll get into that as well. And I wanted to just clarify, I'm not going to have a Comic Collector Origins this week coming up, but I will have one the following week. So, keep that in mind. I believe that's the 30th, April 30th. Yes, April 30th. So I'm very excited to have the guests that I have lined up for that. But next weekend, I will not be there. I'm actually looking forward to going to a Yankee game that weekend. So hopefully that weather is nice for that day. I believe that's going to be Sunday. But yeah, taking that weekend off. So looking forward to it. But I hope everybody's doing well. And again, appreciate everybody hanging. Let's get into this number one pick, though. And of course, my number one has to go to Dark Knights of Steel, issue number 6. I was worried there for a second. I was wondering when this next one was coming out because it feels like it's been more than a month since they've released the last issue. So Tom Taylor, I say this every week. I mean, it feels like there's a new Tom. Every time my number one just seems to be a Tom Taylor book lately. So yeah, in that regard, I think this is well deserved and well worth it because Tom Taylor has been killing it, and I really, really enjoy this series. I like how it takes place in this like kind of fantasy world of taking all these popular DC characters, both superheroes and villains, putting them together in different types of relationships, and all taking place in the medieval times, right? So if you're not familiar with this, or if you're looking to get into this, just be aware that this has there is no prior reading necessary for this either. It's completely off world, like different different story altogether, not tied into anything else that Tom Taylor's doing here. Also note that the artist Yasmin Putri has been doing a phenomenal job as well. One of the main reasons too why I wanted to give this a shot to begin with. And then Dan Mora has recently been placed on the covers. I'm not sure what the switch was with that, but I think Dan has taken over last issue or last two. Before that, it was all Yasmin Putri, which I love Putri's work, but I do also love Dan Mora's work, so I am not necessarily upset about that because, Dan Mora is great as well. But yeah, this series has just been great. It's only 12 issues altogether, so we're reaching that halfway point, but it seems like there's just so much of a roller coaster, a lot of back and forth, and throwing new surprises at you along the way that certainly has me hooked on reading more and more of this. So I mean, it's I hope this speaks volumes. It's my number one pick. It's number one for a reason for me. My number one in terms of how excited I am to dive into this. It'll be my my first book that I jump into next week. So I think I'm just gonna leave it at that. That is my gonna be my number one pick of the week. Dark Knights of Steel, issue number 6 of 12. By Tom Taylor. All right, and finally, I want to just get right into my cover buy of the week, and that's going to go to Harley Quinn issue number 14. This beautiful cover by Riley Rossimo. And man, I tell you, like, he has just grown so much on me that I'm putting it here as my cover buy of the week. The series as a whole has been fantastic. Stephanie Phillips, I just love her writing. I love her style, and I think she fits perfect with Harley Quinn, and same with Riley Rossimo. Like, just their styles and their teamwork together. I've just really been enjoying this series. So this is one of those win-wins for me. I always talk about, first of all, do you have a cover buy of the week? And what I mean by that is this book strictly a book you're buying just for the cover? And two, is it a book that you happen to also be reading? And in my case, it's both boxes are checked off as a yes for me. So I love this cover. I'm also currently reading this series. In fact, it probably should at least be in my honorable mentions, and shame on me for not having that noted earlier. But Harley Quinn really has been a fantastic series. I think I'm a couple issues behind here recently, but yeah, overall really enjoying this. Just love this cover. Love the colors in general on this cover. Also just love that Harley's laying here from what looks to be that she's behind bars. I know this title's called Doing Time. Just love that she's all tatted up. And I just like the layout overall. And so that is why it is going to be my cover buy of the week, Harley Quinn issue number 14. And that's all I have for today. Appreciate everybody hanging out here for my top 5 picks for New Comic Book Day coming out next week, April 27th, 2022. If you like what you saw here, let me know in the comment section below. Make sure, too, that you check out the question that I asked at the very beginning. I'll leave that also in the comment section. But, leave a comment in the comment section answering the question, where do you buy your new comic books from? Whether it's a new comic book store, a local comic book store, online websites, FOC, whatever it is, on how you get your new books. Maybe you buy them off Instagram, maybe you buy them off Acclaim sales on YouTube, whatever the case is. Would love to hear that in the comment section below. I will read off some of those answers next week on my Wednesday's video. But otherwise, that's all I have for today. So make sure you smash that like button on the way out. And until next time, I will talk to you later.